Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Fadia Salsabilla Putri. I'm here to fulfill my assessment midterm test. I want to explain about kinds of tests and testing. Please attention. Proficiency test. Proficiency tests measure people's ability in a language. Regardless of any training they may have had in that language, based on a specification of what candidates have to be able to do in the language in order to be considered proficient. Having sufficient command of the language for a purpose. Sample: test for a unit nation translator, test for a course of study in a British university, test of art and test of science. Other proficiency tests are designed to show whether candidates have reached a certain standard with respect to certain specific abilities based on detailed specification of what candidates can do. Example, the Cambridge examination, FCE or CPE. Achievement tests are directly related to language course. Their purpose being to establish how successful individual student, group or of students or the course themselves have been in achieving objectives. Two kinds of these tests. One, final achievement test. 2. Progress achievement test. Achievement test. 1. Final achievement test. Final achievement tests are tools administered at the end of course of study. They contribute to summative assessment. These tests have been referred to as syllabus content, approach which the test content based directly on a detailed course syllabus or on the books and other materials used. Next, progress achievement tests. Progress achievement tests are intended to measure the progress that students are making formative assessment. One way of measuring progress would be repeatedly to administer final achievement tests. The increasing scores indicating the progress made. Diagnostic tests. Diagnostic tests are used to identify learners' strengths and weaknesses. They are intended primarily to ascertain what learning still needs to take place. The lack of a good diagnostic test is unfortunate. They can be very useful for individual instruction or self-instruction. Learners will be shown where gaps exist in their language acquisition and can be referred to source of information, example, and practice. Fortunately, the availability of relatively inexpensive computer with enormous memory will change the situation. Direct versus indirect test. Testing can be said to be direct if the candidate can perform the right skills and according to what we want to measure. Meanwhile, indirect testing can be measured through underlying abilities such as skills of interest. One of the parts of the TOEFL tests that can be developed as an indirect measure of writing ability. Another example of indirect testing is the method proposed by Lado 1961 to test pronunciation skill that can be carried out with a paper and pencil test in which candidates must identify pairs and pencil test in which candidates must identify pairs of words that match each other. Discrete point versus integrative testing. Discrete point testing refers to testing one element at a time, item by item. Integrative, on the other hand, integrative testing requires the candidate to incorporate many elements of the language in completing the task. Norm reference versus criterion reference testing. The purpose of criterion reference test is to classify people according to whether or not they are able to perform some tasks or set of tasks satisfactorily. The tasks are set and the performance are evaluated. It does not matter in principle whether all the candidates are successful or one of the candidates is successful. The tasks are set and those who perform them satisfactorily pass. Those who don't fail. This means that students are encouraged to measure their progress in relation to meaningful criteria without feeling bad because they are less able than most of their fellows. They are destined to fail. Objective testing versus subjective testing. The difference between objective testing and subjective testing is meant from the assessment method. If no assessment is required on the part of the sport, then the assessment is objective. Meanwhile, if an assessment is needed, then the assessment is subjective. Computer adaptive testing. Computer adaptive testing offers a potentially more efficient way of collecting information on people's ability. Parents' level of ability as estimated by their performance on purchase item, raising or lowering their level of difficulty until a determinable estimate of their ability is achieved. Communicative language testing. Much has been written about communicative language testing. Discussions have centered on the desirability of measuring the ability to take to take part in acts of communication, including reading and listening. And on the best way to do this, as a result, what I believe to be the most significant points made in discussion of communicative testing are to be found through recapitulation under a separate heading, would therefore be redundant. Reader activities. Consider a number of language tests with which you are for each of them. Answer the following questions. 1. What is the purpose of the test? 2. Does it represent direct or indirect testing? 3. Are the items discrete, point, or integrative? 4. Which items are objective and which are subjective? Can you order the subjective items according to degree of subjectivity? 5. Is the test norm reference or criterion reference? 6. Does the test measure communicative abilities? Would you describe it as a communicative test? Justify your answer. What relationship is there between the answer question 6 and the answer to the other question? Further reading. 1. Of course, if objectives are unrealistic, the test will also reveal a failure to achieve them. These two can only be regarded as salutary. There may be disagreement as to why there has been a failure to achieve the objective, but at least this provides a starting point for necessary discussion, which otherwise might never have taken place. 2. People differ somewhat in their use of the term criterion reference. This is important provided that the sense intent is not clear. The sense in which it is used here is the one which I feel will be most useful to the reader in analyzing testing problems. Thank you.